everyone, and welcome back to the bit. It's once again market garden time. Because the other day we started fighting the first battle in the second round of campaign. Remember, the campaign lasts for 5 turns. There are 5 battles in each sector. We have 3 sectors for a grand total of 15 battles. The first round of battle concluded with 2 Allied victories at Nijmegen and Arnhem, and 1 loss in the Eindhoven sector. In today's battle, we are fighting at Arnhem for the Arnhem Land Bridge, which was actually historically the ultimate prize, the final objective of the whole campaign. The whole campaign would have been, as it was, a failure if the Allies did not manage to take and hold the land bridge at Arnhem. And so today the proud British paratroopers, led by Niki, are going to fight against Kampfgruppe von Tettau, led by Emanuele, for the control of the bridge. The objective is very simple: wins who holds the bridge at game's end. In order to hold the bridge, you have to have more units, total units, than your opponent on the bridge when the game ends. In case of a draw, victory goes to the defender. Now, I will say this in advance. This has been a great game to watch. Very, very entertaining, a real nail biter, and I hope that this report can do justice to what happened during the game. So, again, these are the rules: 8 turns plus an extra one on a 4+. There are a bunch of limitation on troop choices, which I'm not going to examine right now. If you want to have an idea, I made a video discussing about the general rules of the campaign, which I will more likely than not link in the description below, so you can go check that out. Then again, remember that this campaign is a sort of a live beta test, so some things might actually change during your gameplay. We will see an example in this battle, but again, the main point is to have fun, and I have to thank both players in advance because they were great sports, and they really helped make the game super enjoyable for all the 3 of us. So today we are beginning with something a little different. I'm going to show you also the sort of a building progress of the board. It overall took me like 2 hours to set up everything from the base. This is actually one of my bed sheets. This represents the impassable river. Then we have this whole bunch of road base structure, so to speak. Of course, we have the land bridge here. The British are going to enter from the short edge here, while the Germans will be deployed actually anywhere they feel like deploying on the board. They just have to respect a 12-inch distance from the American board edge. Again, I started by making the road network, so to speak, that is going to be the baseline for everything. And keep in mind that this particular battlefield will probably be used more times during the campaign, because assuming the British can actually capture the bridge, then the tables will be turned. So the British will actually try to hold the bridge in this same scenario against the German revenge, so to speak. So we actually go from here to here by adding a lot of buildings. The goal was to try and build a sort of believable urban area. Let me thank Alessandro and Federico for providing basically all of the buildings you see here out of their personal collections. So we have a lot of buildings. They actually count as buildings. The forest area, we called it a sort of a dog park. So it's very lightly forested, but of course it provides cover. The bridge, as usual, it's hard cover. These obstacles, these walls, actually provide hard cover as well. There's all the little stone walls here. The debris areas are basically just for show. They do not provide cover. They do not count as rough ground. These two little pieces of green are actually light bushes. They provide light cover, do not block line of sight, and this whole bunch of green stuff is just, again, for show. Nothing relevant game wise. Again, these are various takes from different location. Again, this is where the British will come from in first wave. The river is impassable for all kind of units. Again, a little more picture to set the scene. And finally, we can start moving on to the different armies. So we have the Germans here for today's battle. The Germans have 800 points at their disposal, and Manuela brings 2 platoons, a rifle platoon consisting of a platoon commander with 3 extra men, veteran, a squad of regular here grenadiers, a total of 8 men including 1 LMG, a unit of veteran Panzer Grenadiers, again 8 men with 2 LMGs, a unit of Waffen SS, fanatics, veteran, 8 men, 2 LMGs, a squad of Osttruppen, they are inexperienced, and shirkers, 8 men with 1 LMG, a veteran sniper with a Fallschirmjäger rule for stubborn, and a heavy weapons platoon with a platoon commander with an SMG and 2 squaddies, and 3 regular medium machine guns. So these are the troops that we're going to field. And in response, we have the British platoon. Niki this time went for a grand total of 3 platoons. 2 rifle platoons and a heavy weapons platoon. In the first rifle platoon, we have a single commander with SMG and 2 squaddies, 2 veteran paratrooper teams. They are with 10 men and 1 LMG. The second rifle platoon consists of, yet the same as before, 1 leader with SMG and 2 additional men, a third full strength paratrooper squad of 10 men including 1 LMG, and 1 ad hoc paratrooper team of 5 men, of which 1 sergeant has an SMG, a veteran sniper, a veteran light mortar, a veteran medic, and a third platoon, heavy weapons platoon, with a platoon commander, which, as the former two, consists of one leader with SMG and 2 additional men, and 2 veteran medium mortars, both with a spotter. Now, again, keep in mind that we are already using, where possible, the new English rules from the upcoming Armies of Great Britain. So officers give extra morale, but they suffer from a -1 of cover saves, and the British get an additional attack roll in assault for every 3 men that are currently fighting. And again, unfortunately, keep in mind that I don't have a full complement of paratroopers, so some of them are proxied with SAS. So we have the sniper, the medic. This is the ad hoc team. The full squad. Actually, one is a 9-man team, not a 10-man team, because it didn't have enough points. The 3 platoon commanders, and the 2 mortars and the light mortar. The Germans, as per scenario rule, deploy first, and Manuela decides to go pretty aggressive on his, let's call this the left flank, because he has a platoon commander. This is the unit of Panzer Grenadiers with double LMG, and the Osttruppen squad here on the left, trying to basically go for an aggressive defense, while on the bridge itself we have double MMG and the unit of Waffen SS with double LMG. On the bridge approach we have the other regular grenadier unit with 1 LMG and the 3rd MMG. Again, these are the units on the bridge. Game rules stated that the Germans were only allowed a maximum of 3 units on the bridge at the beginning of the game. Again, this is the approach of the bridge approach, regular grenadiers and MMG. Again, keep in mind that the Germans can only get units on the bridge from the entrance, while all Allied troopers have grappling hooks, which they can use to climb on the structure of the bridge itself from one of the pylons. So we have that whole bunch of units on the bridge. The 2nd platoon commander was actually taking a break behind the so-called ice cream stand right here. So it was hiding under the bridge, actually. So this is the German setup. Then we set up the observers. Actually, the British observers were allowed to set up in advance. Here is one spotter for one of the medium mortars on the right, near the dog park. We have the German sniper hiding behind a building. This is the bridge approach for reference. The British sniper actually sneaked up in one of the houses, and the other observer, took refuge here, trying to have some decent line of sight over the bridge and hoping to be out of range from the medium machine guns on the bridge itself. And so the battle begins with round 1. Of course, most of what the British player can do is just bring stuff on the table. We actually have one mortar moving in the dog park. This is the same mortar that uses this guy as a spotter. The German player immediately replies with an advance move from these are the Osttruppen. They actually shoot They can see they can barely make out the medium mortar, and they manage to land one pin but no kills. And the German Panzer Grenadiers do the same. They move up aggressively. They put another pin on the unit, but no joy in wounding. Meanwhile, the large squads start to make their entrance. Here we are still close to the dog park. This is one big brick of paratroopers. This is on the left flank. This is a 9-man unit actually. And in this unit is led by the brave sergeant that made a name for himself during the first battle. Here is an aerial shot to get an idea of what is going on. And here is the third paratrooper squad. They basically went one from each approach. The light mortar moves in, another medium mortar entering the table, the first command squad, the second command squad. We are on the left side of the table. One of the medium machine guns on the bridge open fire. This is on the this team that was in the open. The MMG is straight ahead from here, and they actually get to kill 2 men. Then the Waffen-SS, sorry for the bad picture, opens fire against the sniper that was hiding in the building here, peeking through this small window, and actually they get a total of 3 wounds. Despite a 3+ save, the Niki unfortunately rolls a 1 and a 2, and so the sniper team goes down in the very first turn of the game, and this basically starts to make Niki feel ill at ease for the remainder of the game, because he already lost one order dice. This is a German sniper. He takes a shot at the light mortar on the other side of the bridge, but to no avail. This is the command squad on the German left flank, hiding behind a building, and troops on the bridge. Here is where the sniper is positioned to give you an idea. Again, more fire pours forward. This is the commander still chilling, eating his ice cream. The medic runs up the field as well, as does the third and final platoon commander. Here is seen from the other side. This is where the bridge approach is, by the way. This is where the SS are, and this is where another MMG is positioned to give you an idea. So we see, I think this is a nice picture. It shows, paratroopers running down the city roads, trying to reach their objective. The third MMG actually goes into ambush because it doesn't have a good line of sight, and the same they do the other Grenadier team that are on the bridge approach. Again, this is another shot. This is the other part of the approach. Again, this is the dog park. The Grenadier team actually decides to try and open fire at the end of the round. They decide not to keep the ambush, but they fail their activation, the 4+ activation roll. And with this, the turn 1 ends, and so we go straight to turn 2. The MMG is still in ambush, though, keep in mind. The sniper opens fire, and this time he lands a killing blow on the light mortar, killing Frank. This is what we came to call the dead trooper, which will be important later on. For now, the light mortar has one pin and one man left, but he passes his all alone check. In the meantime, they were under fire from the light mortar itself. They fired him, but they do nothing against him because he goes down and manages to survive, and he saves on a 5+, the only wounding shot that they got on him. Medium mortars opening fire on the MMGs on the bridge. The first roll fails. This is the southernmost part of the bridge, so to speak. Another mortar shot goes into the Waffen SS team. They decide to go down. They don't want to risk to be blown to pieces by the other medium mortar that are hiding in the dog park. And they actually fail to hit, but they will hit both on a 5+ next turn if nothing happens. The MMG on the right opens fire on the paratroopers that are running straight at them, and they actually drop one of them. In return, they keep running forward, springing the ambush from the third MMG that actually shoots them while they are moving from here to here, and they actually manage to drop another trooper. So the squad is down to 8 men at the moment. The 9-man paratrooper team on the British left gets inside a building. Now, I will say this year, originally this was considered to be a normal house, so you actually got to have one singular squad occupying the whole floor. As we played on, we reasoned that probably it was too much, so we kind of retconned that this building and the adjoining building here, which we'll see more in detail later, will be now considered of being made up of 2 different sections. So actually what we retconned as have happened is that these guys were all just in a single section here, so not in line of sight from the bridge, which is down here. Now, this is the sort of things that can happen. What we do and what you should do yourself in your games is that before the beginning of the game, you decide with your opponent what is what cover counts as, etc., just to avoid having problems during the game. We always do this, but sometimes something might not work, or you might forget about that. That is not a problem if you are playing with reasonable people. Luckily, my players were awesome in this regard. They also agreed that it felt weird to have such a large building provided such a sort of a jump point. So, and again, also remember that this is a beta campaign, live beta test, so they were more than happy to agree on how things would actually work out. We are in the dog park. The only paratrooper units that is on the right side opens fire on the Panzer Grenadiers, pinning them and actually killing a couple of men, but still have, of course, their double LMG. Again, this is the building the paratroopers, the actual paratroopers with red berets were hiding. So before we made that modification, so to speak, these guys were actually able to shoot at the paratroopers inside the building, killing one and pinning them. Again, we retconned it a turn later and we made basically the pin go away, and we resurrected one of the troopers. It's not ideal, so things might have changed slightly, but again, this proved to be not an issue to the players, so it was fine. Now, similar to this, another small point of contention arose with this particular door. Again, this was by no means a problem, but it arose as a thing that we didn't discuss in advance, because the problem was this. This is Manuele. Manuele played a bunch of times with this particular terrain piece, and the way he usually played it is that this door was considered open ground. So from here you could see beyond the door, and the same goes in the reverse, of course. While Niki here on the other side was convinced that the door was just for show, basically, and that this was a whole section of a wall. So keep in mind that some of the moves were made on these two different assumptions. Again, at the moment, none of them thought about mentioning it, because they were both persuaded that things were a certain way, but it will turn out in a couple of turns that this might have been a problem. Once again, we solved it by discussing it, which is something you should do yourself if you play with reasonable people, which is another thing which you should do, actually. This was a lame sniper shot at the, I regret to say, at the medic. The Germans open fired on the medic, despite all that is said about the Geneva Convention. This was the 3+, was a cover save that the medic got from the shoots. This was actually from the Ostruppen shot here, and they kill the medic. See the different approach? The German player very evilly happy about the kill, while Niki mourns the loss of the poor doctor. Remember, guys, you don't shoot medics, it's evil. Okay? Now here we are again on the left. So basically Niki had one command squad for following closely each and every paratrooper team. This is the command squad on the left hand side. This is the command squad in the center of the board, and here we have the third command squad on the right hand side. This is where the ad hoc team is moving up. They actually get shot at by the MMG, which is right here, and they lose one man to the MMG team. So the German defenders are actually having a good time shooting at paratroopers, which is reasonable, is what you should do where you have less points but you are on a defensive position. Here the command squad moving up as well, trying to reach some cover, possibly behind one of these buildings. Again, this is a panoramic shot, so to speak. So from here we can basically see how the British have moved up almost 1/3 of the board, and almost halfway to the bridge itself. But so far they didn't manage to kill any Germans, because most of the weapons were out of range, and or of course the paratroopers with LMG didn't bother to advance and take just four shots. They'd rather run and close the distance, which makes sense. Now, of course, this is something we discussed. Niki going for LMGs rather than SMGs on the assault squad was this was the decision he made. Maybe it was not the optimal one, but of course he plays like he prefers. He prefers the idea of having some long range firepower available, and this is seen from the German perspective. Again, we have a whole lot of LMGs on the bridge itself. We have 3 MMGs, double LMG on the Waffen-SS, and an additional LMG here from the Grenadiers. We have the sniper, but yes, he's not in the building, he's just behind the house, lobbing shots, like cross shots from here to here, more or less. And on the left we have the push by the Panzer Grenadiers, and here we have the Osttruppen with their platoon commander. We move to round 3, and you can see the British losses are already starting to mount up. They already lost 2 order dice, they lost a medic, and they lost a sniper, actually. Beginning of turn, the medium mortar, which is out of range from the MMGs and LMGs on the bridge, is actually lobbing, covering fire, and he hits his 5+ this time on the MMG, and then proceeds to completely delete the team. And with this, the Niki breathed a big sigh of relief. Manu decided to not go down, so he braved the 5+ basically, and paid dearly for it, much to the relief of the paratroopers on that side of the board. The other medium mortars shooting as well at the Waffen-SS that are around here-ish. They are still standing in the dog park, but they miss the SS. This time the SS braved the shot and decided not to go down, so they will be hit on a +4+ next turn. On the left we have a snap to action by the platoon commander here. The Osttruppen basically pop out to land some firepower with their LMG downway here down the street. They actually managed just a single pin on the ad hoc paratrooper unit that has gone down in response to the fire. Then the command squad moves up as well and puts a pin on the large paratrooper team. The veterans, in the meantime, they go back to shooting at the medium mortar that is hammering at the Waffen-SS, and this time they get a pin and they get a kill, a single kill on the mortar crew. On the bridge, more fire comes from the other machine gun. This time it tries to go for the command squad here, but they do not succeed. They just make a pin. On the left side we have a snap to action by the 2nd British lieutenant. The squad goes into the building. Again, this is the adjoining building I was mentioning. Again, with hindsight, we ruled out that this building would be divided basically into parts. The first section actually being just this one, and the second being this one. Again, this was retconned this very turn. The command squad, in the meantime, moving up behind the building in cover. The light mortar, in the meantime, has been shot once again by the sniper to no avail. He decides to advance and shoot, but he decides to moor the loss of Frank because he rolled an 8. Now, usually with an 8, with a veteran, you succeed in your order check. But remember, Frank was the squad leader, and thus the loss of Frank lowered the squad morale to a 9. So the 8 plus 2 pins counted as a failure, unfortunately. And so the guy stops here and cries for the death of Frank. The paratroopers, close by, they decide to, again, they have to deal with the veterans that are threatening the medium mortar, so they advance and shoot. They do not achieve much. What they do achieve is that the veterans basically recoil and move back because they don't want to face the wrath of a almost full strength paratrooper squad. More firepower coming over from the Briitsh. Again, they try to shoot the command squad that survives, despite the fact that they have -1 to their cover save. Once again, this fire order goes into the unit that is here, because this time he could be spotted from here, and they kill two more guys. This is literally when the problem arose with the advance. So in the end, basically the squad ran because we decided they could run one section of the house and then they have a 6-inch move outside the building itself. Again, this is a rule we changed on the fly, so this might not have been the perfect solution. Of course, what Niki originally wanted to do was just to advance outside the building and shred the sniper here, but with the greatest grace, he accepted the change, and so ended up with a run move. And as if to thank them for this, he gets, of course, shot at by the other MMG, and he loses another guy. Again, remember, one was resurrected before. And then he loses two guys down. In the meantime, the other German commander has finished eating his ice cream and is now moving below the bridge to provide some morale and support for his troops as we move to round number 4. Round number 4 begins with a fail order test by Sergeant Clarkson and his cronies, and they actually go down, which is good for them because the German commander actually comes out from below the bridge and start pouring shots over shots on them. They get more pins and they get killed because the MMG open fire as well. The SS now they advance. Now keep in mind that they couldn't actually move away enough from the original area they cover, so they don't lose the 4 plus ranging in from the medium mortar. They add more and more fire over the paratroopers, but they stand like the badasses they are. The mortar actually shoots with a 4 plus at the SS, but Niki only rolls a 2, which is a damn shame. So with the next turn, it goes down to a 3 plus. So not a good luck there for Niki. These are the veteran, the Panzer Grenadiers on the left. Again, sorry for the blurry image. Keep in mind that these are the moves I was mentioning before that were made on the reasoning for the Germans that this was basically open terrain, while for the British that was a hard wall. Again, this is the Ostropen that are moving back into cover. They were around here before they moved. This is where they shot down the hole here at the advancing ad hoc team. And the German squad leader actually moves in cover as well. So after pushing the first turn, the first 2 or 3 turns, they actually go back a little bit to breathe and to lure the English in more and more. In the meantime, the second mortar keeps lobbing death. This was the mortar that destroyed the other MMG. Now, using the line of sight from their spotter, they try for a long bomb shot on the German platoon commander, but they fail to hit on a 6. The other MMG left standing on the bridge goes into ambush just in case some English pro tries to be brave and do stuff. The other paratrooper team in the building go in advance. Their plan is to get rid of the sniper team here, but they only manage to pin them. No wounds at all. Now, Niki almost started to cry here. In the meantime, the other command squad tries to move up to Sergeant Clarkson to provide encouragement, and the other command squad actually moves behind the gates here to put some fire on the enemy command squad, but then again it just manages a single pin. On the right hand side, remember there is this MMG on Overwatch, but for the rest the Germans are currently hiding. The paratroopers move out of the dog park because they want to get out of the rough terrain, the dense terrain. This is the command squad, and this is the ad hoc team. In the meantime, more and more fire is poured on the advancing paratroopers, and they start to take pins and big losses. The ad hoc bravely advance, while the light mortar once again rolls an 8, and we keep warning the loss of Frank. Remember, Frank is standing right here. He has a bullet through his head by the sniper, and his body is just still so devastated by his loss that he cannot make up his mind and do anything but cry. Here we see the British resuming the advance actually on the right. They're basically all the German forces here are still alive. There's still an MMG, sorry, alive and kicking up here. So they need to do something, but Niki has a plan as we go into turn number 5. Unfortunately for him, the first dice is a German dice, and then Manuela begins with a snap to action. Now, luckily for Niki, the MMG, at least the MMG, is out of range from the officer, but the SS and the sniper are inside range. The officer advances and then keeps peppering the poor paratroopers. The SS this time managed to get out of ranging in area from the mortar, and they shoot at the command squad, killing one guy. Luckily for them, for Niki actually, not more than once. And then the sniper team opens fire at super close range with their regular rifles, and they actually managed 2 kills. This was absolutely insane rolling by Manuela, and you can guess how happy Niki was to have his guys basically butchered up. Of course, they are exposed. Don't get me wrong, but still, it's always sad. In the meantime, the command squad trying to move up and do stuff, but without too much success. The MMG still tries to provide some covering fire, shooting at the paratroopers here, doing a pin. Then this is where, after again more shots are being poured on the British, and they actually wipe out the command squad that was standing here. From here it was actually from this MMG he gets a rather easy kill on the command squad. But then Niki decides that it was time to be brave, and so the command squad that was below here decide to go for a long bomb charge. It's 3 men with a single SMG in the hand of the platoon commander against the enemy command squad, and this were the combat rolls. The green dice are the German dice, and the bluish purplish dice are the British ones after re-rolls for SMGs were applicable. Now remember why there are 4 British dice while there were only 3 men, because again we are playing with the new British rules, where the British get 1 extra attack die in close combat for every 3 men fighting, and these extra attacks can come from any model. So of course they were assigned to the SMG wielding lieutenant, so he gets 2 kills against 1, and the British emerge victorious and get rid of the German commander. Here on the left, the German, the other surviving German leader goes down, and he bides his time. This is where the aforementioned problem, so to speak, arose. So Niki ran up all the way here, thinking that these veterans here were not a danger, because they couldn't go here because he thought this was just a wall. If they went here, they had their friends in front of them, so they couldn't fire either. So the only thing they could do, it was maybe to once again go behind the house here and keep shooting at the medium mortar. And so they basically only had to deal with the shooting from the Ostropen here. But then when it was time to activate the veterans, actually Manuel started with, okay, I will shoot at the paratroopers. And so basically the problem arose. But in the end, we solved it with a dice roll. We discussed it a little bit. It was too late to go back the full turn. So in the end, basically, Manuele once again went behind the house and shot at the mortar in the dog park without much success. The mortar keeps lobbing shots at the Waffen SS that he had been shooting at for the whole game, and this time he rolls a 6 with the first attack. So the SS actually get blown up a little bit. They get 2 pins, and they will be hit on a 2+ from now on. And this was a much needed break for Briitsh, which were actually under a lot of pressure, a whole lot of pressure. Here, finally, the light mortar manages to win his grief over the loss of Frank. He moves back a little bit, and he shoots at the Panzergrenadiers here, but without success. The Osttruppen actually get out and shoot, and they actually managed to kill quite a few paratroopers. Of course, they are inexperienced, but at close range, even some Osttruppen can somehow manage to do something. And the paratroopers are down to 6 men. Now, of course, 6 veteran paratroopers are still a lot of veteran paratroopers. Then we have the single surviving sergeant of the other paratrooper team on the left. He had 4 pins. These were the platoon commander managed to kill the opposing platoon commander. And again, Niki decides that this was the time for heroes, so he declared a charge against the sniper team. Now, again, keep in mind that this did not count as debris or anything, but still, he had to endure first strike by the veteran sniper, but he survives the first shot, but he doesn't get to wound on his attack. So we go to round 2, and in round 2, the sniper team fails, and he kills one, and though he actually wins the combat, he butchers down both the sniper and actually even manages to consolidate a little bit. In the meantime, Sergeant Clarkson team decides that it's time to rally because, 6 pins is 6 pins. On the right, the now 3-man strong ad hoc team decides that it's time to roll a double 6, so a nice foobar. So they end up going back a whole bunch, basically undoing all the movement forward they have been done for the previous turns. Again, we joked that they decided to go back to provide some comfort again over the loss of Frank here. This was really unlucky by Niki. And so we go into turn 6. As turn 6 comes to begin, the Briitsh are in a pretty bad place. Most of their units have been badly shot up, and the Germans still have a lot of assets. And unfortunately for Niki, for the Briitsh player, the first die is a German die. Had it been a British dice, more likely than not, the paratroopers would have charged the Ostgruppen here and or the command team, and then the command squad would have moved up and done something. But this was not meant to be, so we have a fire order from the Ostgruppen, an advance order by the Panzergrenadiers, and an advance order by the command squad. So everything moves into position, and they start to unleash hell on the poor paratroopers. First activation kills just one guy, then more and more drop as the Panzergrenadiers actually come back and shoot despite the cover. And so at the end of the day, despite everything, again, veterans are very, very tough. They have 3 pins, but they are down to just 3 men. And there's still a medium machine gun hovering on top. The Niki decides to go with the medium machine gun, went to ambush, if I remember correctly. Niki decided it's time to keep pounding the SS under fire by the mortar. They go down, they keep taking more pins and more kills, and they are down to just 3 men, so 2 LMG and 1 loader actually. This is on the next die was a British one, and Niki goes for a great, very, very sensible move actually. I thought he would have gone for like an advance and trying to get rid of the MMG looming here, but he decides to go for a double run, and the 3 surviving troopers actually run under the bridge, where at the moment they are safe from harm, because we decided that you cannot shoot from above the bridge to below the bridge, of course, needless to say. So either German had to leave the approach of the bridge while trying to go after the troops here, or they are safe, at least for now. So this is the situation. These are the Waffen SS being pounded by the medium mortar. This is the other surviving MMG, and these are the last 2 German units that still are close enough to the bridge to be able to easily get over it if need be, because once again, remember that the whole point of the battle is to have more units on the bridge than your opponent. The MMG here decides to take an advance, to actually pivot a little bit and shoot downtown. They kill the attendant of the lieutenant here. He remains alone, but he passes his check. The 3 surviving paratroopers decides once again that this is the time for heroes, and they successfully declare a charge again against the enemy command squad. Again, they have 3 men. They will be rolling 4 dice, 2 of which are SMG. They will be veterans again against veterans, and this time it's a disaster. The British don't manage a single kill, and they are all gunned down in response. And this was, of course, needless to say, terrible news for Niki. So the command squad actually consolidates a little bit forward, and this is where, struck by grief and frustration, the single commander decides to charge the whole Ostgruppen squad. It's like 1 against 8. He kills 1, but needless to say, heroics can only bring you so much, so he gets mercilessly killed. In the end, the Ostropen, they roll for their green. They will remain inexperienced for the rest of the game, but this will basically have no impact for the rest of the game. But it's another command section down. In the meantime, now the veterans here feel free to be able to start back sniping those pesky mortars. On the Briitsh, these are the pins on the SS here. The grenadiers that were standing here for the whole game actually decides that it's better to bring some boots on the bridge itself, so they make a run for it this turn. Of course, it gives some breathing room for Sergeant Clarkson and his men. They run all the way from here to here, wanting to put some much needed pressure on the German defenders of the bridge, because on the bridge itself, the Germans currently have a full MMG team, a full Grenadier team, a 3-man SS team under a 2+ mortar fire, and a single MMG up here. So it's not too much. And then, to add insult to injury, the 3-man ad hoc team that foobarred the last round decided it's time to roll another 12, and they actually run off the board. This was absolutely disheartening for the poor Niki. He did not deserve this. He did not deserve this at all. Double foobar on 2 consecutive turns on the same unit was just, was so heart-wrenching to look at. But it's time to go on. We actually move to turn 7. The game is going to a close. It's been going on for many hours actually, so all the players are starting to be tired, and so again, this actually made it for a realistic battle fatigue situation, if you get what I mean. Of course, the SS are still under mortar fire. They are up to 5 pings right now, but they are fanatics. For the time being, they do not care. Unfortunately, the 2 wound rolls are not good, and so all the 3 of them are still alive. Manuel activates the MMG that shoots at Clarkson and his men, and he drops 1, just a single one. Again, this is a situation of the battlefield seen from above. We have the other mortar that in the meantime is ranging in on the other MMG standing on the bridge. The 2, actually 3 total men left alive from one of the paratrooper squads and the surviving command squad here, that are doing actually all they can to put pressure on the German defenders. Because again, I will repeat this once again, all that matters in terms of victory is the number of units, not models, number of units on the bridge. And remember, the British player can actually move his troops from below the bridge to over the bridge by standing close to a pylon at the beginning of the turn. So, despite the tremendous losses they suffered, they still have a chance, which is awesome. Again, this is the same situation from another perspective. The other MMG, in the meantime, has been hit by the mortar. This is the mortar on the dog park, in the dog park, for reference. They went down because they felt that the shots were coming to a close. They actually get 2 dead men. Here we are behind the bridge, These are the surviving paratroopers that were below it, that are actually reaching position. This is the Panzer Grenadiers on the left, which go back to pummeling the mortar, and they actually managed to kill it dead. And now I don't remember, to be honest. Oh yeah, this was the photos are arranged in the wrong order. Actually, this is a continuation of the shot of the picture before. They get 2 dead, they get pinned, and they fail their check, and they're actually removed from the game. So the only units currently standing on the bridge are the full-strength Grenadiers and the 3-man multiple pins mortar hitting them SS teams. In the meantime, the other troop always also starts making their preparations. They start preparing their grappling hooks to actually move on the bridge on turn 8. And these would count as 2 units being on the bridge. So once again, despite the very, very low numbers, the British still have a chance. Now, the aforementioned Grenadier team that were standing here, they decide to advance and get rid of Sergeant Clarkson once and for all. Needless to say, Clarkson is a tough SOP. He loses 1 more man, but he doesn't care. So they are still a menace. They actually advance here. They draw the next dice. They decided to try and get rid of the MMG for good. Unfortunately for them, they still have 1 pin. They only managed to kill 2 of the MMG team, and the single survivor manages to pass his all alone check, so the MMG remains in play as we move to the final turn of the game. And it can still swing both ways. The first dice is drawn by the Germans, and Emanuele decides to activate his MMG with the lone operator, so to speak. This was actually an advance order because he needed to pivot. It was I don't know if I agreed with his choice, but despite this is what he does. He turns around and opens fire at point blank range at Clarkson, but Clarkson does not care. And the next dice drawn is a British order. Now, here we discussed a little bit with the guys what was the best way to do things, because one of the fun things in the hobby, remember, yes, they were playing a game, but we are also a group of friends. So, would it have been better to keep pummeling the SS with a mortar that, remember, is hitting on a 2+, but he can go down, then he can halve the number of shots, of hits he suffers. And so, in the end, let's say decided, well, it turns out that maybe the best thing, now the British, in order to win, have to get lucky. The MMG has already activated, so it's out, it doesn't count for this turn. The British player has 2 possible units on the bridge. Right now, the Germans have 2 as well. So the British need to kill at least 1 German unit in order to stand a chance. And the best chance, despite everything, to get a kill is to have Clarkson try and wipe out the SS, and then the mortar either trying to finish off the unit, for example, if like one guy is still alive, or even two, so they get to actually get them to test and break and flee, or if by sheer luck Clarkson manages to wipe the unit, then they will go for the long bomb 6 on the regular grenadiers here, and with a lot of luck, it might be possible to even wipe out the unit completely, because the guys are standing very close, so he would do it like the whole 6 of them, and if he kills enough, they might panic and run, and this might win the British the game. But we are back to Clarkson. Clarkson shoots at the SS. They are within 6 inches, so going down wouldn't mean anything. And Clarkson manages a grand total of 5 hits, 3 wounds. The German goes for saves, and he saves none. The Waffen-SS are completely destroyed, wiped out to a man by Sergeant Clarkson and his trusty LMG buddies. Right now, and for the rest of turn 8, the Germans will have 1 single unit on the bridge. They cannot get more than 1. So, in this particular moment, the British have a real shot at victory. But unfortunately, of course, the only smart thing for these grenadiers to do is to go in ambush, because the British player will have to actually move the units below here on the bridge, and if an intact unit of grenadier manages to kill the British unit, it secures the victory. Trying their best to have the better chances of doing something, the surviving member of the light mortar units moves forward in desperation. He goes for a long shot at the grenadiers, but he fails. In the meantime, the Osttruppen and the surviving German officer are desperately trying to fall back, trying to find angles to shoot. They shot at the 2 guys that just pinned. They didn't get any kill. The Panzer Grenadiers actually finish up their flanking maneuver and gun down the light mortar. So far they killed both the medium mortar here and the light mortar here. They've done a great job harassing the British backline. And we come to the decisive moment of the game. The last surviving British platoon commander with 1 friend actually moves on the bridge. He moves on the bridge. And Emanuele springs his ambush. He goes for a fire order, of course. Now, we are beyond 6 inches. So it's not super short range. So you'll be hitting on 4s. Then wounding on 5s. And there will be no saves, if need be. So it's an all or nothing. Because, basically, if 1 man survives and he passes his all-alone check, the British have a real shot at victory. But the dream does not live. They both get gunned down mercilessly. And with this, the chances for the British to win in the 8th turn of the game go down the drain. Now, there might still be a turn 9, but for turn 8 there are no more chances. Here these are the Osttroppen. They actually shoot at the mortar here, trying to get rid of it. They managed just to put pins. The mortar itself had tried another shot, but he failed. And this is the sergeant from the other paratrooper, the sole survivor of the other 10-man paratrooper squad, that actually lifts up on the bridge itself in the end of the turn. So at the end of turn 8, the situation is as such. We have the German commander that was basically that took charge of the left flank, desperately trying to run and run and run to get closer to the action. We have the Osttroppen wanting to deal with the mortar down here. Grenadier team here, Sergeant Clarkson and his men here, a single surviving crew member of the MMG here, and one singular paratrooper here. We roll the die for the extra turn, and the die rolls a 3. What this means is that the battle is over, and that the Germans have managed to hold the Arnhem land bridge. Because it's 1 unit each, but in the case of a draw, victory goes to the defender. And so comes to an end what was one of the best bolt action games I've ever witnessed. Now, I don't know if I managed to do justice with this report, but trust me, it's been awesome. The guys were great sports. They had fun despite the tension that they were feeling, and it was just great. So before closing the video, let's take a look at the losses. Actually, surprisingly to me, first of all, the Germans managed to get, let's not say scot-free. They just lost 2 medium machine guns, 1 platoon commander, 1 sniper team, and 1 Waffen SS squad, while the British have been almost wiped out. They lost 3 platoon commanders, they lost 1 full paratrooper team, they lost 1 ad hoc paratrooper team, 1 sniper, 1 light mortar, 1 medic, and 1 medium mortar. Now, they still ended, by this time, the British are going to have a real lack of good platoon commanders, because remember, this is a campaign game. Players only have a limited amount of units at their disposal, and when they're gone, they're gone. The only exception I made is for platoon commanders, because I decided no, it's not fair that you don't play with platoon commanders. So the rule for this campaign is that if you finished all the platoon commanders you have available, you still have to field them. You pay normal points, but the officers only get a +1 morale, of course +2 in case of the English, and you only get 1 snap to action, 2 in case of a German. This is to represent the fact that, someone is hastily promoted, they get slapped a star or a badge on the shoulder, and off he goes, but he doesn't have the proper command training. In the meantime, the Germans have lost a lot of machine gun teams, and they are also starting to run low on stuff, which again is part of the fun thing in the campaign scenario. Now these gentlemen will fight once again the same battle, but there will be slightly different point costs. because the British really need to take this bridge. This is the whole point of Operation Market Garden. So on the third battle in the Arnhem sector, there will be another bloodbath at the bridge, with the Germans receiving some reinforcements, and the British, they won't have any for now. So this brings this video to a close. Again, I really hope you enjoyed it. Again, it was a great battle, great fun. I look forward to see what the rest of the round 2 battles we're going to do in the Eindhoven and the Nijmegen sector. So stay tuned for those reports as well. In the meantime, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for stopping by. As usual, my wish for you is to be safe, and ciao ciao.